I would always rather die trying. Mainly because it's far more exciting, isn't it?
Welcome everybody to episode 66 of WatchRoss, the one where we get shit done. Yes, we are getting shit done in this episode of WatchRoss, folks, and we're doing it a little bit differently, okay? Normally I film this intro to the vlog before we then go and record an exclusive podcast for actors and members of actonthis.tv. If you are not a member of this website and you're an actor, what are you, Petch?
Missing out.
You are missing out, okay? You've heard that from Petch, the cameraman extraordinaire slash fantastic actor. See, I'm picking you up, Petch. It's Christmas, I'm feeling generous.
Give me a job.
I'll give you a job. Right, so we're filming this a little bit differently. I've actually just recorded the podcast for this week, so we're filming this intro in reverse, okay? I can tell you though, a little bit about what we spoke about and what you're gonna now see a few clips of, and then if you wanna go and watch and listen to the full episode of this podcast, get yourself over to actonthis.tv. And our guests today were Simon Naylor, actor and founder of 532. Okay, 532, for those who don't know, is Manchester's biggest and most versatile, what is it, It's like creative space, artistic space, theatre. So much happens there, okay, or has happened over the last 3 years, as 532 has really become part of the fabric of Manchester's theatre scene. We also had Alex Maxwell, who helps run, just manages 532 with Simon. They also run something called Manchester Actors Platform as well, which is a platform for actors in Manchester. But if you're not in Manchester, come up and get involved with it anyway. It will help you get all the things you need together to help market yourself as an actor. Headshots, show reels, ultimately acting classes, workshops. Just learn your craft and put yourself out there. I wanted to bring these two guys onto the podcast because I ended up working with them out of the blue a week ago, and I saw something about them that impressed me so much. Their speed of execution, from having an idea about something to going out and getting it done. Okay, Melissa Johns, fantastic actress. We've had her on the podcast before, we've had her on the vlog. Lives with a disability, she has one arm. She put a tweet out saying, listen, I'm not seeing any disabled actors in Christmas adverts this year. Simon saw it on Twitter and went, let's make one, right? Literally, that was it. With 2 seconds of seeing that tweet, he's like, let's just do this. That's what we did. It involved non-disabled and disabled actors. Ultimately, I'm just going to show it you now. Here it is.
Fluffy dog Bernard approaches his owner. A woman sat alone in the dark on her sofa. An advent calendar is open on the chair. It's Christmas time, but she doesn't seem to care. She's still in her pajamas, not even dressed. Her hair in a bun. She looks distressed. A single tear rolls down her cheek. She's really struggling with it all this week. She picks up a photo of those she has lost, memories that can't be replaced at any cost. She lays in the darkness with Bernard in bed. There's a knock at the door, but she doesn't raise her head. A friend is here, tapping at that door. It's frosty and cold, so she's wrapped up warm. No answer comes and the friend looks worried. On hearing the knock down the stairs, Bernard hurried, but she's already left. Drat, Bernard's too late. The fluffy dog stands outside by the gate. He drops a toy by the gate outside, hoping the knock would once again be tried. He was right. The friend returns to her door, and Bernard's toy is laid on the floor. She picks up the toy that gives her a clue. Her friend is inside. She knows what to do. From her pocket, she grabs her phone and texts. Her friend needs help, she suspects. We see back inside, the dog with his owner once again curled up in the dark on the sofa. Bernard leaps from her lap and out of the room. She tries to keep him there, but off he zooms. She sits, looking sad, stroking her hair. But in just a moment, Bernard's back there, holding some paper in the grip of his teeth. She takes it off him and begins to read. "Come to the door, we're not leaving," it says. She considers for a moment. She's visibly tense, but she stands no less and walks to the door. She's about to open it, but takes a breath before. On the other side are lots of her friends, dressed head to toe in Christmas trends. Christmas jumpers, a tree and decorations galore. The woman looks so much happier than before. We move inside, a party in full swing. Decorations and lights have brightened the dim. No longer alone and now feeling love. The woman puts on a Christmas jumper. It fits like a glove. Champagne is popped and all the friends cheer. The woman holds a baby so precious and dear.
Give someone your Christmas time.
The room is filled with joy and glee, and on the final frame, we freeze.
So from idea to filming it to putting it out took roughly 15 days. And that wasn't 15 days work, it was a few WhatsApp conversations, like 8 hours of filming and 3 days of editing. That's now been seen by over 50,000 people online. It was featured on ITV News in Manchester, ITV News in London. And I was just like so impressed by the hustle behind, Simon and Alex getting this done. That's Alex who starred in that advert, by the way. So I wanted to bring them on the podcast to talk about that, talk about 53.2, talk about Manchester Actors Platform, and ultimately how you guys out there can get involved with the fantastic work that these people are doing to be seen more in 2020, okay? Get your 2020 vision together so you can put yourself out there, be involved with more stuff, and also how theatre can lead to TV work, can be the gateway to TV work. I know a lot of you guys want to work in TV, as I do. Theatre's not normally my bag, but so many casting directors come on this vlog or featured and act on this.tv, and they're like, listen, put something on, invite us to it, we need to see your work. So I know there's people who are going to be watching this who haven't done that in 2019, and I want you to do it in 2020. Anything else to add, Petch?
No.
It's just a no-frills intro, this. Ultimately, we're just getting shit done, so I'm going to stop talking and just, get shit done. And this is the 53.2 podcast. Alex Maxwell, Simon Naylor, welcome to my kitchen. How are you? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Mate, your kitchen is amazing.
As is the rest of the flat. It's beautiful.
Well, it's pretty clean, isn't it?
Yeah, weirdly clean.
I am. Do you know what? It's because there's no woman in my life. If there's anyone out there for me, I live on my own. I live a very simple existence.
And this flat is very clean as well.
I don't even sit on the settee. I bought all this stuff. I spend all my time in the office editing these podcasts. It's literally it.
Well, no wonder it's so clean.
Don't venture out. I clean it. I do the big clean on a Sunday. I get the flash out and I just clean everywhere, and then that's it for another week. It doesn't get dirty, and then I clean it again the following Sunday. So it is spotless.
Super clean.
Super spotless.
Very nice.
So yeah, let's just throw coffee. Do you know what? Ryan Clayton came in, didn't he, Petch? Ryan Clayton, he played Josh Tucker in Coronation Street, threw coffee all over the wall. I literally had to get a paintbrush out and paint it. Ryan, shout out to you. No hard feelings. Right, let's give people some concept.
Is that why we've only been given water?
They've had their coffees. They've had their coffees in Costa. We had a little pre-chat. I've wanted to get you guys on the podcast for a while because I want an education basically in the theatre world around Manchester. For everyone watching and those listening on the podcast, if you just listen to the audio, running acts on this for the last 10 years. I can't believe it's nearly been 10 years. I mean, that in itself is crazy. I focused almost primarily, I'd say 99% of the content I produce is all based around around TV and film, no theatre whatsoever. And loads of the podcasts that I've produced this year have been with people who have been creating their own film, ultimately to get themselves out there, get themselves in front of casting directors and hopefully get work in film and TV. And I've had quite a lot of kickback because I love suffocating people's excuses. Quite a lot of kickback of people going, okay, well, that's all right for these people, but, I'm not technically minded. I don't have any money and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, right, well, one other way for you to ultimately get eyes on your work in front of casting directors is to put on your own work in a theatre. Right? So even if you want to work in TV, doing theatre can lead to TV. What is Manchester Actors Platform? How did it lead into 53.2? What is 53.2? How can all the actors get involved with these platforms and 53.2 ultimately to get, seen and, in 2020, either produce work, put work on, invite people down, get more recognition, and ultimately book more work next year? Let's just start the ball rolling.
That's a big question.
It's probably going to take an hour and a half.
Over to you.
So, Manchester Actors Platform started when, so I trained in London and then trained as an acting teacher in London while still acting, and I trained down there for 13 years. Trained in Meisner as an actor and then retrained in sort of the methods of Stanislavski, Uta Hagen, and eventually got fed up with London, as a lot of people do.
Yep.
And came back to Manchester. And when I got back to Manchester, I started teaching at a few places. And for me, I felt like the teaching wasn't quite as good as it should be, really. A lot of people paying a lot of money for not a lot of contact time.
Yep.
So I taught a few places and I saw this, and then Karen Henthorne, who I taught with down in London.
Tell people about Karen, who she is, if those who don't know her.
Karen is the craziest person in Manchester. In fact, if you've not had her on the podcast, that's one to get.
I've been in a room quite a few times with Karen, but no, I've never really spoken to her properly.
An amazing actress.
Brilliant. She's a fantastic actress.
Yeah.
And also, I would argue, one of Manchester's, if not Manchester's finest screen acting teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
She taught with me in London at Italia Conti for about 10 years. We both moved back to Manchester, and at this point when I was like, hang on a minute, we've probably got an opening here for a really powerful acting school, said to Karen, I said, should we do it? Should we run a course? And I think the original one was we were going to do 6 weeks of TV training. And so I hired Withington Baths, and it was absolutely freezing and drippy, and there was no glass in the window. So the 10 students we had turned up.
And I was one of them.
Alex was one of them. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even work with MAP 53.2 at that point.
No, you didn't.
I was just a student doing Karen's course.
You just rocked up to a derelict building for an acting class.
Yeah, freezing. But it was great.
It went from there, and the class went really well, and we were like, well, let's do another one. And then the 10 students we had went, well, we don't want to stop. So this program developed, which was entry advanced professional courses. I then started to replicate what I taught at Conti, which was scene study classes, improv classes. I had a camera, and with Stacey Harcourt, I phoned one day and went, look, Stacey, should we go and shoot some show reels? So we offered show reels for 50 quid because I was like, I don't know, let's just see what happens.
See what happens, yeah.
Yeah, that was the busy week. Made show reels, then did headshots, and before we knew it, like Manchester Actors platform was busy. And we were able to branch out from the dank Withington Baths, which I must add is a brilliant, beautiful building now. It's been restored to its full glory.
Not to be confused with Dank, the Disabled Artist
Oh,
Network
yeah.
Absolutely,
which
yes.
we will be talking about in this podcast as well.
Very
Friends of ours.
different.
Terrible
Yeah.
choice of wording that, Simon. Well done. Oops. But then we moved to a studio in Ardwick Green, and we had a little space up there, and it was there that a mate of mine, Matthew McNulty, went, I really want to direct a play called Shirley. And I went, all right, let's do it, much as I do. I hate meetings.
He's just done it again. Don't ever pitch anything at Simon, because he'll just go, right, let's do it
will
now.
happen.
Yeah,
We'll do it literally in 10 minutes.
Well, the guy went, I want to direct Shirley by Andrea Dunbar. It's only ever been done once. He said he's got the money to fund it. I said, all right, let's do it. So I phoned him back 2 days later, and I told him I booked the theatre. That was the birth of Map Productions. And suddenly, as a production company, it was like, right, well, hang on a minute. What do we do next? And it was my brother, actually, who's a civil engineer, which is an architect type person, right, for stuff with buildings. He went, the old Bauer Millet garage is up for tender. That, they're looking for people to move in on a temporary basis and do something with it, preferably artsy.
Yeah, and for those outside of Manchester, that was on a place called Deansgate with these massive arches. It was a fantastically accessible location in terms of where it was. Not accessible for disabled people. We'll talk about that because you made it accessible. But yeah, in terms of a space, fantastic.
It was an amazing. It was sort of iconic in Manchester as well. If you tried to explain where 53.2 was at first, you had to go the old Bauer Millet garage, and everyone went, "Oh yeah, great! This old Hummers and stuff."
Yeah,
crazy.
It was an amazing
cars.
space. 2 huge tunnels. And keeping up with our motto, it was very drippy and very wet.
Yeah, absolute state when we
it
moved
was
in.
disgusting. So, but we had to pitch to get that space. 24 companies pitched, and meeting after meeting, and proving why we should do it, and Ask, who owned that building, were amazing with us. They gave us a bit of a Kickstarter loan to get in, and I said to my dad, I said, "Oh, look, Dad, I think we're going to take these arches over." And he went, "Don't be stupid." Once again, it was one of those things. We had the keys, and we had some money, and went, right, what do we do now?
Mm-hmm.
On the outside, it looked like we were completely in control.
Yeah.
On the inside, we were like, right, well, some lights. Let's get some lights and some chairs. That's a good starting point.
Yep.
And we weren't going to open. I think we got the keys in about July, June, July, and we weren't going to open until January, because that's what normal, business people would do, give themselves some time.
Yeah.
And then Manchester Food and Drink Festival rang us and went, we want to do a banquet there in September. And I went, great, no problem.
And this was in July.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Got a month, 6 weeks, done.
So we had to build, we didn't build them, obviously. We got people in to build 5 toilets. We got lights in there. We had to waterproof it.
We didn't even have the toilets at the very start. Do you remember we had those
we had 2 toilets.
really rubbish candles that are fake flame, and we lined them up to the toilet that was there because the lights weren't on. So
Yeah,
we just had like a little
just one loo.
candle path to the toilets. That's how we weren't equipped at
Yeah, it was
all.
ridiculous.
I mean, this sounds right, like epically large in terms of you've just gone, holy shit, we don't really know what we're doing. We're going to go for it.
Yeah.
There'll be people out there right now. I know they'll be listening thinking, I could never do anything like this. And again, this is why I've got these people in the podcast, like, on the podcast today to try and just show you that you can. What were the logistics of even funding something like this? Where was the money for this coming from at that point? Like, how long did you think you had the venue for? Did you have to make a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time to keep it? How does that logistically work?
Well, as Simon mentioned before, we got sort of a Kickstarter fund loan from the landlord, the owners of the Arches.
And who was responsible for paying that back?
We were.
We were.
So, see what I mean? I mean, that's brave.
Yeah.
Fair play.
The thing is, though, right? With everything, like, my dad hates me because of this. He's now our financial controller.
Nice.
But the thing is, I go, right, if I can't pay 30 grand back, what happens? Go to prison. Maybe. That's all right.
You probably just go bankrupt, really.
Look, go bankrupt.
Katie Price has just done it. It's
fine. Yeah,
fine.
like, and I go, I would always rather die trying. Mainly because it's far more exciting, isn't it?
How can people get involved? What kind of things can they get involved with? You mentioned something before as well, November, that sounds quite exciting for me. But like, what stuff can people get involved with at the new venue?
Do you want to do the writers' side with
So
November?
the writers, November is one thing we launched last time, which came from people needing a platform to share their work, which isn't necessarily a fully fledged Arts Council funded £15 a ticket shebang. They want to put it in front of people.
Yeah, it's raw.
Yeah, and script in hand or rehearsed readings or, black box stuff. And November properly encourages that by saying, right, do it. Don't charge more than a £5. We'll split that money, so we'll just take enough to keep the venue alive, and then you take that money and put it back into producing the play. But more importantly, get that feedback, get that first airing of your work. One of the things that kills us most is a new script that nobody's prepared to work on. They do one draft and go, ta-da, yeah, it's finished. It's not. I'm not a writer. I don't pretend to be a writer. I can't write. It's too hard. Loads of great ideas. As soon as I put a pen in my hand, no chance. But what I do know is the benefit of even just sitting around a table. You don't need to do November. Sit around a table. You can get a studio for £10. Get loads of people together. Get them all to pay £1. Read the play, get some feedback. That's actually research and development. That's R&D. That's workshopping your script for £10. Do that, because actually you might find, if you're not as precious, that some people have got some great ideas. Anyway, that's by the by. So November is going to be happening. Off-cut is going to be happening. And we are also, particularly for the writing side of things, we're hopefully going to be working with Dibby Theatre a little bit to
what's that? DB Theatre.
Dibby.
Oh, Dibby.
D-I-B-B-Y.
You have to tell me about this stuff. I'm no clue.
So Dibby is run by Chris Hoyle.
Who's he?
Chris Hoyle is a writer who wrote the newspaper
Amazing
boy.
writer.
The newspaper boy.
Yeah, which was arguably one of our best productions in the Arches.
Yeah.
But he's got a theatre company, Dibby, who's done a couple of things with the Christmas stuff. And anyway, we got chatting the other day and he said, writers don't get paid to write. Of course they don't. You write something and then you send your script off and hope someone produces it, and then you might get paid.
Yeah.
So we started talking about a program that we're hopefully going to do, which will pay 4 writers £2,000 to develop their script.
Ticket prices should not be another reason why you can't go. Mm-hmm. Again, just because we have a ramp into the building doesn't mean that we're fully accessible. We're accessible because of the ticket prices, and there shouldn't be a reason that anyone can pop along to watch something live on stage, and take away whatever you do from it.
Yeah, that's real accessibility. So that's the writers. They've got shed loads of stuff to get involved with. Yeah. Actors that want to be in that writing. Is that down to the people writing it to cast them, or do you guys get involved with that as a venue? How does that all work? If I'm an actor sat at home now listening, thinking, bloody hell, this sounds great. When it opens, I really want to get involved with what's going on at 53.2. Like, where do they start?
Well,
and we are back. So there you go. They've just seen 3, possibly, maybe 4, I don't know, clips of what was 1.5 hours of absolute fire. How much fire was it for you, Alex?
it was pretty steamy.
Wow, that's the unedited version you need to see.
The version you've seen was PG and was not steamy. Listen, I want to expand on something just quickly for 5 minutes now, just for some extra value on the vlog. An overriding theme of that entire conversation for me was the importance of fast execution, ultimately having an idea, not dwelling on it, not procrastinating on it, not, just thinking, oh, I'll do it next year, or it's not the right time for me. Just freaking doing it, before you talk yourself out of it. You just saw, guys, in the intro, the Christmas film that we put together, well, mostly you guys put together. I just sat on a reindeer for half an hour. But from the idea of Melissa coming up with that, that idea to it actually being out there, and now nearly, I think, as I put this out, I'm sure 50,000 people will have seen that now. It's been, put on the news, London news as well. It's had loads of eyeballs on it. It was 15 days from inception to actually putting it out there. And it wasn't 15 full days of work. It was a few WhatsApp conversations, 1 day of shooting, and, fair play to you, Si, 3 days of editing. There'll be people out there who've got ideas. They're afraid to put them out there, afraid to make them, afraid to start. I mean, just give them some advice about the merits of just doing it. It's been something that you guys have always, just done. So I'll just hand you the mic and you just spit some inspiration.
Well, I guess it's just, being a bit ballsy, which doesn't come easy to a lot of people. It didn't come easy to me. Getting yourself out there, making a bit of a tit of yourself. We're all a little bit scared to do that. But really, if you don't succeed the first time, you might the second, or it might work the first time. I remember one of my first jobs I got in the Manchester scene. I was overhearing, listening into a conversation by a writer who was Alex Keelan. She knows the story. And I just heard her saying that she was going to put on a play and that she'd be casting it shortly. So I just went up to her and said, it sounds ace. I'm going to write to you. Is that okay? And she said, yeah, great. And I got a part in it. And so it's kind of taken that extra step that people don't necessarily feel comfortable doing. But what is the worst that can happen? You make a bit of a tit of yourself. It doesn't work. You learn and move on. And that's kind of what we've done at work as well. On to you.
I was just going to say, you said, what's the worst that can happen? Again, you're a big believer in this. You took, and we spoke about it in the in the podcast, a 30 grand punt setting up 53-2 initially, all money on Si's shoulders. I don't know if you bared that. It was all Si going to prison. And that's people be like, what's the worst that can happen? Oh my God, I'm getting 30 grand worth of debt. Oh, I can't pay this back. I'm going to go to prison. It ain't going to kill you. You're probably not going to go to prison anyway. But yeah, in terms of risk taking and just immediate action, you seem to be massive on this. So what's your advice on that score?
As mentioned, I hate meetings. I think meetings are the devil. Nothing ever gets done at a meeting. People just talk about stuff they want to do and then go, right, great, let's talk about that next month too. For me, the one thing I do if I want to do something is get it out there. Put it out there, because as soon as it's out there, if I don't succeed, I look like a tit, which isn't bad. That's okay. That's fine. I started running about 15 years ago and went, I'm going to do the marathon, and someone laughed, and that was the worst thing they could have done, because I did the marathon. And then the following year, my mate went, oh, I'm doing a marathon, and I went, I'm doing 3 in 3 weeks. And ran 3 marathons in 3 weeks, which was stupid. Absolutely. 2 weeks. Yeah, 3 in 3 weeks. See, next year. But I think the thing is with everything is put it out there. Say you're going to do it. Get yourself a schedule of deadlines. Even if it's just little things, like if you're not on Twitter, get yourself on Twitter and get yourself a little piece of paper with 5 boxes in it and send 5 tweets a day about what you're doing, or contacting people, or retweeting stuff. Just make sure it's out there. As soon as you've got those goals, as soon as you've got something out there that you can fail at, you'll be surprised how much your pride kicks in and how much you have to meet the demands that you've put on yourself. It's about self-drive and not worrying about failing. If you fail, it's not the end of the world. Worst things have always happened at sea.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there you go. Ultimately, it's freaking get out there and do it, right? It's nearly 2020. I realised the other day as well, I mean, don't know why it's so obvious, but it's not just the end of the year. It's the end of a freaking decade. Yeah. It's just
20 sounds futuristic.
Yeah.
Do you not think 2020?
So, get your doesn't if you say it like that, yeah. Get your 2020 vision sorted for what you. I wish I had 2020 vision. I haven't. Nowhere near. Get your 2020 vision sorted for 2020, right? Okay, and just look at what you haven't done this year and what you could do next year, and just start taking action on it straight away. We know from positive psychology we roughly have 5 seconds before having an idea. Well, between having an idea and our brains and our safety mechanisms wanting to kick in and talk us out of it. So just do something straight away, and go and take a 30 grand loan out, set up a theatre company, compete with Si, it's fine. Don't always do that, but as long as you're not going to kill yourself if the consequences are like life and death, just go and take some risks again next year. So thank you so much for being here. Hugely appreciate it. Social media is up on screen right now. Reach out, let us know you've seen this, let us know what your favourite part of the podcast was, and go over and listen to the full podcast on AtsOnThis.tv. Get a membership. That's something you can definitely do for yourself and your career in 2020. The freaking best value you can get anywhere in the bloody industry. I'm telling you. Fact check. Size fact. Change your Twitter to Fact Check UK. Fact check. Yeah, definitely. So we're going to be back next week for the last vlog of the year. It's going to be with Peter Hunt, Hollyoaks casting director, and it's going to be a phone-in podcast for premium members of AtsOnThis.tv. Another reason why you need to be part of this, guys. Have you remembered the catchphrase? What?
Yes.
Yes, you'll be the first people probably in 2019 to actually do this. Thank you for watching. Love to you all. You know what time it is, guys. Until next time, bye for now. Thank you so much for watching this episode. It really would mean the world to me if you would leave a comment telling me what you enjoyed and what you would like to see more of next time. If you want to catch more episodes, head over to facebook.com/WatchRoss or youtube.com/WatchRoss. Make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications on. I'll be back real soon. Bye for now. Don't get your shoes on the carpet, Petch, because you're not allowed.